Morning YouTube, it's PB. Monday morning, start of another week. So I've got a lot of jobs booked in this week, so hopefully going to get some good footage for you. If I've got any new tools to show you, any tips and tricks, bits like that. But what I wanted to talk to you about before we start is van tool theft. Now, if you're anything like me, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you check your van. And you got your fingers crossed, you got everything crossed, hoping that your van's not been targeted in the night. And it's not a nice feeling. And I want to do something about it. Now, I did a video on my Twitter that got quite a good response about trying to... There's a petition going around, I'm going to link that in the comments, excuse me, that a guy set up for you to sign for tougher penalties for people who commit van theft. But what we really need is someone to take this to government. On some level, we need someone to take notice, because breaking into someone's van, stealing their tools, it's not just robbery, it's not just theft. You are actually inhibiting someone's ability to earn a living, because we can't go to work without tools. And it's not just having your tools stolen, it's the damage they do to your van to get your tools. You then can't use your van, so the van has to go in, you have to contact your insurance company, you have to get a hire van or a hire car. When I had my van done, they damaged the side door, completely damaged that, so that had to be completely replaced. And then they smashed the back door as well, and all they grabbed was my combi drill case. Everything was in there, they could have had as much as they wanted, but it was literally smash and grab, just got one thing. Because all the, you know, they sell it for 20-30 quid just to buy some drugs, basically. They're not getting what the tool's worth, and to us they're worth a lot of money. I mean, I've got some of my kit that's my granddad's I still use. If someone stole that just to sell it for a few quid, I would be heartbroken. But you know, what can we do about it? We're on our knees, really. It's happening all the time, it's getting more common. What we need to do is come down harder on the people selling the tools, because they must know, if you go to a car boot sale and there's hundreds and hundreds of cordless tools laid out and not one battery charger, you know that those tools have been stolen. So police, I know the police numbers are down, but surely one police officer just to walk around a car boot sale on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday, just so these tool thieves selling the tools know that they're not safe to sell them. And like online, if eBay, if someone starts listing a power tool, they just send them a message, can you send us proof this is your power tool, just to put off people potentially selling stolen goods. So I'm just trying to raise awareness. So if you can sign this petition in the comments, that'd be a good start, because the more signatures you get, it can go to government and people will start to take notice. I've personally got a meeting with my MP and the Police and Crime Commissioner, and I'm going to talk about it and hopefully use my social media profile to try and get things to happen. There's other guys, there's a Twitter account out there called Vans Under Attack. They retweet, if someone's van's targeted, they'll retweet the info for you to try and catch the culprit. So there are people trying to do something, but we just need as much help as we can get. So if you can sign this petition in the comments, that'd be great. Right, this is just a tap repair job. Now, there's a few tips, which is why I've included it, because I know you want to know how to change the tap. These are just a bit stiff. I'm doing a voiceover on this one because the customer is literally sat in the kitchen watching me, so it's hard for me to talk while I do it. But basically, the tap heads are stiff. They called me and asked for new washers, but I just said it's better to just replace the heads. The landlord didn't want to spend any money at all, so rather than use the Bristol Reviver kits, I'm using these trade ones from City Plumbing because they were about a £5 cheaper. So just going to talk through the job and show you any tips. Okay, so I took the tap barrel out of the cold. Now I just want to show you something. Taps mix two different ways, monoblock taps. They'll either mix in the body of the tap or they'll mix at the spout. Now you can see there I've opened the hot and there's nothing coming out of the open cold side, and that's because this tap mixes at the spout there. There's two sections, the one that's coming out now is the hot, the other one's the cold. If you've ever tried to get rid of an airlock on a Friday afternoon by doing this on a tap, this is how you'll find out if your tap mixes at the spout, because in that situation you'll get absolutely soaked. So I've took the barrel out the tap. Now you can just take that split ring off there, remove the spindle, re-washer it and grease it up and reuse it. But that's a lot of effort for when your landlord doesn't want to pay any money. So sometimes it's just cheaper to buy new tap heads. And then the other thing we'll do, because we're using cheap materials, doesn't mean we're going to do a cheap job. So when I take the taps out, I always grind the seating, and to do that I use this. If you've ever seen one of these, this is a complete set. You can get smaller sets, but this one will do any kind of tap you can think of, any size, imperial, metric. There's all different attachments for it. If you've never seen how one of these work, you basically get a spindle and then these adapters. So you choose the adapter that you think is going to fit your tap. Just check it, that's the right one there. And then you attach that to the spindle with the handle on it. It's always hard with one hand. So once you've got that on, then you choose the reseating tool or grinder, whatever you want to call it. That goes on the end there. And then you tighten that into your tap. The height's adjustable, so at any time you can change it. See there, I'm just making it a bit shorter before I screw it in. That screws in there, and then you get a feel for it, but you can just adjust it, and then you just turn it, and that cutting attachment, the grinding disc, will now clean off any impure surfaces on the tap, any crap that's got stuck on there. Just give it a few turns, always the same way, and then you'll see if I remove this now, you can see how we can see the brass there where I've cleaned it. So we've got a nice flat surface now for our new tap washer. So that's the new barrel in and the head on. One more tip, when you finish the tap job, leave the tap open before you put the water on. Then any other bits of crap that you've cleaned off, especially if you've used a reseating tool, that are in there, will then just come straight out the tap. So just leaving that open there, ready for when we turn the water back on. So we're also doing the bathroom basin taps and the bath taps. Now the heads on the bath and basin taps match each other, so ideally we want to use the old heads. So the first thing to check is that your old head fits onto your new barrel. Now a lot of the time you'll find it won't, and you'll have to change the whole head, but on this job luckily they fit, so I can reuse those heads, which means these ones will just go in the bin. I do save a few, but I'm chucking mostly. Another tip, the screws, if you get any screws with taps, or even the ones off the old tap there, I keep them. They go in my little screw box, because sometimes you will need a screw, and it's handy to keep them. Now we're doing the bath taps. Another little tip, when you're removing screws on any taps, bath, sink, basin, whatever you're doing, you want to be careful when you remove the screw. If you drop it, it's going to go straight down the plug hole. So just close the plug before you start working. Then if you do drop the screw, it won't be able to disappear down there. Just a little tip for you. So you can see there, I've took this barrel out and the washer's missing. It's left inside the tap. So I've got a little tip for you now. If the washer's ever stuck in, just get a screwdriver. Try and see if you can find the hole in the middle of the washer, and then just pop your screwdriver down, and you should be able to pull the washer out the tap with it stuck on your screwdriver. So I just took the hot out, and you can see there the washer's absolutely shot to bits. I'm surprised that tap wasn't continuously running, but yeah. This is just an example of some of the absolute dog shit work I see on rented accommodation. This cable that's just been clipped along the outside of the building is just for the room stat. A hardwired room stat comes all the way back here to the boiler. Yeah, I don't know. And then you can see there the PRV's not even been connected, which they probably just thought, oh, it's in an outbuilding, I won't bother. But I'm going to quote to sort all this lot out now. This is a call out to no heating, no hot water. So put the boiler program on downstairs for central heating and hot water, and then check the boiler. The boiler's fired up, and then I've come up to the airing cupboard. I don't know if you can hear that and see that on the light, but it's pulsing. So my main suspicion is that the pump's shot it. So I'm just trying now the different settings to see if it makes any difference, but it doesn't. You can see that light's flickering away, and it just sounds like it's pulsing. So that pump's not moving the heat away from the boiler, and then the boiler's just cutting out on its thermostat. It's kind of working. There's a bit, it's lukewarm. There's a little bit of heat in there, but it's not enough for the system to work properly. So I'm going to send a quote in for a new pump. Now, while we're here, I'll just show you a couple of things. So you can see this immersion heater here. There's no switch on the wall. Now you're thinking, how does he turn that on and off? But what they used to do in the UK is the feed will come from the kitchen. So to turn this immersion on to heat your hot water, there'll be a switch downstairs in the kitchen on the wall. So just be aware of that. So this is an open vent system. So I'm just going to quickly show you how it works. There's your air separator there. So the top pipe, this one I've got my hand on now, that's the vent. And then the one at the back there, that's the cold feed. So that's where the water comes into the system. And then you've got the flow pipe, which I'm going to grab now. That's the flow coming up from the boiler. Mixes through that air separator to help encourage the air to go up the vent. And then into the pump. Now you've got your flow pipe there into this 3-port valve. So this is what you call a Y-plan system on a 3-port. One outlet goes to the hot water cylinder to heat that. So when you select hot water and the cylinder stack calls for heat, that valve opens and lets the heat go to the cylinder and then fires the boiler up. And then this pipe on this side is the feed to the radiators. So when you call for heating on your programmer and your room stat's calling, it sends power to the valve opens to let it go to the heating, and then sends the power back to the boiler. The way this operates is a paddle that chooses which way the water can go through that valve. Then the pipe at the bottom of your cylinder, the bottom of the coil, is the return, and sometimes you'll see a valve on it. It might be a gate valve, but a lot of the time there's these tamper-proof valves. And the reason they put those on is to kind of balance the system. You won't always see them, but sometimes if your heat is going through the cylinder, that's the easiest route, and it won't flow through the radiators, so you can throttle that down to balance it, to encourage it to go down to the radiators a bit more. This is your automatic bypass. It's just a system bypass. So if there was a problem with this 3-port here, or this valve was completely shut, or the system had all TRVs on and they all shut down, there was still a way for the heating to circulate back down to the boiler through that bypass valve. It's kind of a safety device to take strain off the system and off the pump. So that's basically it. It's an open vent system. Hope I've explained that half decently. Any of you guys who follow me on social media will know that my most hated job is work on shower cubicles, bath shower screens of any kind. And the reason is because some people seem to go really heavy with the silicone behind the wall channel when it's not needed, and it makes it an absolute bastard to get off. Sometimes you can battle with them for hours trying to get them off without breaking a tile. All you need is a bead of silicone on the outside edge to stop any water from getting out, and then it can just run down and into the bath. Putting it on the inside edge and on the outside edge is fine if you've got to mask any kind of deformities in the tiles or any surfaces that aren't right, but just loading it behind it is just wrong. So the other thing I find all the time is people will fit the shower screen and then seal the bath, and then it leaves a gap behind the wall channel, so any water that gets down then goes behind the bath and the tile, which is when you get problems, leaks and stuff. So what you need to do is drill your holes first, get it all set up, then clean it off and seal the whole length of the bath, and then fit your screen wall channel, because then it's sealed between the bath and there's no gap for the water to get down. And then you just need a bead on the outside and that's the job done. You can put a bit around the raw plugs if you want, but that's all you need. You can see there's the gap. Find this all the time, there's just no sealant there, and then any water that gets down can just get through. So yeah, this is my most hated of all jobs. Morning, guys. So one of the good things about being self-employed is if you've got something to do you want to do during the day, you can arrange your jobs around it. So this morning I've picked my nephew up from home, took him to school, and now I'm taking him to a place near me called 3M. It's like I think it's a pharmaceuticals place, but they held a competition and you had to make a marble run. So it's the longest time it takes for the marble to get from the top to the bottom. And I went into the school to help them make it, and we've won our areas, the competition for our area. So now I'm taking him and I'm going to compete against a few other schools. So let's have hello to Harry.
Hi guys.
So Harry, what are we doing today?
We're going to a 3M factory and they hold it a challenge to see who can make the slowest marble run, and we won the game.
Why do you think we won?
Because we added a lot of slow materials and stuff.
And do you think it helps because I'm a plumber?
Yeah, probably.
And what do you want to be when you're older?
I don't really know, to be honest.
I thought you were going to be a plumber and come and work with me.
Yeah, well, I haven't got all this. I haven't got all the experience from it yet.
Yeah, but you'll get experience when you're older.
Fine, I'll see when I'm older then.
What do you mean? I thought you were going to have your name on the van and everything.
Fine, I will. I'll be a plumber.
You've been too busy playing Fortnite, that's your trouble.
Yeah. What?
Say bye.
Bye.